Hey.
Good evening, Miss Iris.
Good
Always,
evening.
always fun to be here every week with you.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
It's very grounding and touchstoning and all that good stuff.
Yeah, all the good feels.
I love you.
I love you too. And I love seeing the people that join us. So please let us know if you're here.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our regulars. Welcome to any newcomers. If you're new to the channel, hi, welcome. We're very glad you're here. We'll talk and do some introductions for the first couple of minutes and let people sign on, of course. And for starters, my name is Margot. Obviously, Iris has our little banner names going, and that is, this way. That is Iris Carter, and she is the instigator of this podcast. She came to me saying, last year. She came to me saying, I feel inspired to do a podcast, not quite sure how and why. And then after a few months, we realized we were both ruminating on the same project in our heads. And so we agreed to this wonderful collaboration that we have called The Eyes of Indigo. Iris's sister eventually gave us a wonderful tagline, and it's very directed to the point. We love it. It's called Discussing Weird Stuff in a Rational Way. Yay! So we love
I don't
Deborah.
have any bells today, I have to say. I'm in a hotel room, so
Iris is on location. On location for us tonight. We appreciate you tuning in with us, even though you are in the middle of some workshops. And coming from a hotel room. And there are two different platforms that you can watch us that you might be coming from. Hi, Angela. Angela is coming to us from Facebook. Yay! So if you want to let us know you're here on Facebook, you can do like Angela and say hello in the comments, and we will see it. There's a second platform, YouTube, that you might also speak to us through. Same thing, write in the comments, write in the chat, and we will see it. The other platform will not. Therefore, Iris tends to share comments that are from platform to platform so that everybody gets to see what other people are saying or commenting that we are responding to. Because on your so if you're Facebook, you may not see a YouTube comment. Well, you won't, and the YouTube comment won't see a Facebook comment. So we try to manage. Iris does a real good job trying to manage that so that everybody can participate. But in Rewind, you can watch the show later as a recording. So we also like to say out loud what's on the screen so that people that are enjoying us through audio broadcasts, will know what the heck we're talking about. And Iris, what are some of those platforms that people can hear us in past recordings, past episodes?
iTunes, Spotify, and there's other aggregators that I have discovered that have picked up on it and share it. So wherever your favorite podcast aggregator is, I know there's a ton of them, but it definitely uploads directly to Spotify and iTunes. So
wonderful. So look for Eyes of Indigo or Iris Carter on YouTube is another way. We also show up on Iris's website, iris.com. Iris Carter.
No, iriscarter.com. Yeah.
iriscarter.com. And we also show up on my website, indigoanswers.com. So have fun with that.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with me and Iris, you can learn about our credentials and our backgrounds back on episode 1. Yeah, you can rewind all the way to that. Iris, that one was what, like 30, 40 minutes long?
Yeah.
It's a lot shorter than everything else.
And it was an edited version of an even longer talk. So.
Oh, yeah. We basically interviewed each other and talked about our credentials. So feel free to see what we were doing back in September. We are coming up on a year of
That's
doing
hard to
this.
believe.
Iris, you have done this every week. I've had to bow out a few times. You have been rowing this boat the whole time. We appreciate this. This is awesome. You deserve all kinds of
Oh.
kudos
Oh.
for keeping this boat
Well,
going. Yeah.
yeah,
So
well,
thank you. And our topics come from all over the place. Iris, what are some of the sources that we've run into? Like we've had
oh,
guest speakers
we've had guest speakers come on. We've had discussions. Sometimes it's stuff that's going on
in the world.
in the world at the time. Like some of our early podcasts talked about like getting triggered and how to focus on your own feelings and where they're coming from, and um, how to redirect and that sort of thing. We've done stuff on angel. We've done a couple of workshops on, or not workshops, but sessions on angels and ghosts and spirits, and we've
Your book,
done,
your
yeah,
book.
I've got a book, and it is
We launched your book on the show. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and which is on Amazon, and it's the care and feeding of ghosts and the children that see them. Uh,
Woo!
yeah, and uh, I was just contacted recently by someone. Are they in another country? I don't remember. They're not from around here. I don't even know how I connected with them, but they're, I'm going to order your book, and I'm like, cool.
Don't let me stop you.
Yeah, exactly.
Push that
And
button.
yeah, um, and then we've done. Oh God, what are some of the other topics we've done? We've done so many.
Somewhere
We've
along the
done
line
psychic readings. We've done.
we've done reading episodes. Yeah.
We did one about sacred cursing or
Swearing.
sacred swearing. Yeah,
Which
and
my thoughts about it have changed since that episode. So we might have a part
update.
2. An update, a part 2, a volume 2. Not sure which one, sequel.
Yeah, and the
However,
power behind words. I mean, there's a lot of power behind words,
oh
and
yeah, there is absolutely about
um,
television and movies. We've talked
yeah,
about that. ET
yeah,
encounters.
yeah.
I believe one of our speakers spoke about that. Angela said reveals realities, crossings, ghosty spirits, etc. Angela has been watching for a while. She has been taking notes. Basically philosophical and informational discussions
Mhm.
about how to cope with being a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tonight's conversation, in some ways, people might go, "What the heck?" But the topic is feeding, the ethics and ethos of body fuel, and we want to talk about various eating choices. And part of the reason that this came up, I'm sorry, I think I took
I got
Marco off.
bounced. I'm
Yeah,
back.
you're back.
I'm back. It's all
I
right.
bounced you. Yeah, I was hitting the wrong button.
I can still
Um,
hear you.
yeah, is because we were talking about how people eat different things, and how people, there are different addictions. You got caffeine, sugar, um,
The
and other
sugar
things.
monster. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. But, a lot of people, it's interesting how people will choose different things to eat, but is it that, or is it how you teach your body to process things? If we can, and some of this is just questions that I haven't worked through myself, but
You're
if you
talking
can if
I
you
hear
can
you
heal,
saying nature versus nurture, correct?
sort of.
What you condition
But
yourself versus what you came to this world. the
Yeah,
programming you
and
came
and
with.
also what, like people can do healings and energy work and things like that on different body ailments. And like I've 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 done it myself where there have been things in my home that weren't working right, and I downloaded it with the information that it knew how to work properly and understood its function, and it started working again. Or Vienna Stabile, who started Theta Healing, she talks about she got this really great sofa, and she downloaded it with the information that it made her guests feel comfortable and welcome and da 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 da. She started having a hard time getting her guests to leave. So you're doing your job too well, and things like that. And so if we can do that, why can't we tell our food and our bodies how to process our foods the way
In a
that is
high
in our highest.
vibration.
Yeah.
Sure
Or
can.
why
It's called
can't yeah, go ahead.
in other belief systems, it's called blessing your food.
Mhm.
There are colloquial terms for that. Um, I can speak from the practice of Reiki. We from the first level, Reiki 1, we teach people to Reiki their food and drink and medicine and pillows and blankets and their own head. But going back to what we're saying, we encourage them to Reiki their food and drinks and water bottles and everything, their forks while they're cooking, while they're eating, all of it, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
And
that's a wide practice in metaphysical
and
circles.
and I get what you're saying about, Reiki, meaning perform Reiki on those things, but can you
Right.
explain a
Oh,
little bit more for people that
in
don't
case we
know?
got newcomers that are doing that. If you're
Yeah.
not familiar, Reiki is an Asian-based practice of moving chi and or prana or orgone energy. There's lots of words for the exact same thing. The universal energy that exists in all living things that's very healthy to have. And it's very healthy for it to flow and move. We generally, not always, but we generally don't want it to stagnate. Practice of being a Reiki practitioner or Reiki master or whatever you want, whatever level you study to, is the practice of helping other people or things like food and drink, helping their chi or their energy move with grace and ease. Okay. It's the
Okay.
practice and study of making that happen. And you seeing me getting all handsy because that's our tool. We have a tendency, we mostly use Reiki through our hands. However, we do use our eyes, elbows, words, breath, your chakras coming out your heart chakra, all kinds of ways you can send Reiki. But primarily
Like a
people
Care
recognize it
Bear.
as hands. Yes, right. You basically, yeah. Well, there's a whole line of Reiki bears that follow that premise that 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 people use for a lot of different reasons that have to get into a lot of detail. Maybe should do a show about all the details that are there's there. Yeah, what's a Reiki bear? That
Mm.
it serves two purposes, and not everybody knows about them. And some of it is woo. It's a little bit weird. And
Are we talking about furries or what?
talking about toy bears, not real bears. Although you could do this to a real bear if you're brave enough to get up on one. But but anyway, I have some examples I can bring in front of the camera as well. Yeah, that's another place we get topics is during conversations about other stuff. We end up with notes about what else we want to talk about. So that's what Reiki is. Yeah, it's intention. It's a practice of intentionally moving and raising the vibration and moving the speed as well of energy in food or drink or other humans or thoughts or feelings or all that good stuff. But back
Well,
to what we
and
were talking about.
yeah, and I know when you were talking about blessing the food, something that I try to do, and I don't. I know I shouldn't say try, but
You
I
intend to.
yeah, my intention to is to bless the food back from its origin, all the way from its
Oh,
origin. And so
oh,
all the whole process, whether it's plant based and comes up through the earth and through hands that eventually get it to the
yeah.
store that get it into my kitchen versus if I'm choosing to eat meat, blessing that little critter all the way through and for its purpose.
And there are all the people that handle it, as well as all the processes that handle it.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
just kind of, and the idea is if you keep that blessed energy going back and forth, it keeps recycling. And yeah. So, um, and people, some people, it's like, oh no, it's wrong to be a vegetarian, or it's wrong to, I mean,
Be a
not wrong,
carnivore.
carnivore, yeah, whatever.
Oh, there are
And
people
it's,
that think it's wrong to be a vegetarian. That was correct.
yeah, that's
It goes
okay.
both ways. It goes both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, or they tease them or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, people they get
A
teased.
lot of jokes about it.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder if Iris knows any jokes about this. We've got visuals,
Oh,
people.
yeah. Let's see. Oh, I got to share this one. This was so funny. Let me make it full screen so you can see it. I couldn't get to save as a picture. This is a bear sitting at a picnic table by himself. The meat eater's table at a Portland potluck. Oh,
In
where you
Portland,
think
there's nothing but herbivores.
and then I've got
Vegivores.
yeah. I've got the herbivore, the carnivore, the omnivore, and the nom nom
Nom
nom.
nom nom nomnivore.
I think that's me. I don't.
Oh, I know for sure that it's me.
And
I
are we
like the
still? No,
nom
wait a minute.
nomnivore. We need to make
Why are we
t-shirts.
hidden? Let me go see what happened. Are
I
you
can
still
see
there,
you.
Margo?
Yeah, I'm still here.
No, don't tell me I
Did I
lost
bounce
Margo.
out?
Wait a minute. Okay, let me. Want to hide that. Ah, shoot. Everything's going crazy. Wait a minute, guys. Hide that. Yes, you're back. I'm looking for you. I don't know why I'm gone now.
I'm about to come back. There I am.
Right.
I hear you
There
now.
we go.
Yay.
Oh,
Hi,
sorry, folks.
guys. Sorry,
We're,
folks.
we're testing to see if you're still watching.
In this day and age where technology is freaking weird, cell phones, people are telling me stories about their cell phones doing some weird stuff,
Do
especially
tell.
even today. Well, today's a great example. A friend of mine up Fayetteville way, he played on Facebook, he played a 1 minute recording of his cell phone videoing outside, and it was for a sound about a third of a way into the 1 minute. And it was just a neighborhood, a residential neighborhood, trees, cars, houses, no humans around, no lawnmowers, nothing driving by, nothing in the sky. There was this real high pitched, and then he put a message below it. He said, by the way, he said, I recorded a message about cognitive dissonance about 2 weeks ago. I thought I erased it. It is popping back up on my phone over and over and over. It's repeating itself da 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 all of a sudden from 2 weeks ago. Of course, the usual phone calls are dropping faster than normal. That's another one. Phones are jumping to programs that this person has never shown any interest in. You know how they have cookies, the type stuff that they can, if you go look to shop for a hat, you're going to start seeing ads for hats. Well, using this example, suddenly ads for ice picks are coming up. Just as an example, weird that kind of weird stuff. Plus, just weird sounds. Computers are failing left and right, being bumped off the internet. Probably for me, about 3 times more often than say last year or the year before. I'm constantly having to reboot. How about you? Have you run into technological weird stuff?
Well, I've had like it was interesting. I was using Google Maps because I'm in Charlotte and I have no real knowledge of especially anything recent in Charlotte. I haven't really driven around Charlotte in about 20 years, so maybe longer than that. um, but I was using GPS
Yeah.
and I made it was like GPS was delayed a few seconds from where I was. So like it would say I would pass the street and it would go turn on that street and I'd be going, geez, what's wrong with you? Siri, pick it up here. Pick up the pace. And then I tried turning around and it was still giving me the old directions. It wasn't restarting. I had to stop it
And start
and
all the way over.
restart it over again. I had to find a place to pull over. Or it told me to make a U-turn. I made the U-turn and then no, you're not supposed to make that U-turn. Go back the other way.
Yeah. These extraneous instructions that have nothing to do with your destination keep showing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes, we go to weddings and that happens a lot.
it's like literally going in circles.
Angela Kreitzer says for the last 6 months for sure. Yeah, for her apparently it's been happening too. And she says it's worsening each week, each month. Yeah, when you compare it, it's getting relatively more and more convoluted. The theory is the vibration of the earth is going up and up and up. Yeah, and that fifth dimensional type stuff that we've talked about in previous episodes. The vibration is going up, so technology is going to have to keep up with it, which means we're all going to need to switch over to Tesla type technology sooner or later, which is good because that's healthier than what's being shoveled at us currently.
Of course it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, relative to food, we were talking about the different kinds of diets. You got omnivore, vegetarian, and vegan, and breatharian, and carnivore. Did I say carnivore already?
Carnivore,
Omnivore.
omnivore.
Yeah, carnivore. So, run down what those are, Iris. What are those 5 types?
Okay, well, real quick, is an argument between two vegans still called a beef?
Maybe it's called a tofuffle.
Better than a kerfuffle, right?
That's right.
Okay, so you have herbivores, which if you think herbs, they're eating plants, like some dinosaurs were herbivores, and you've got critters out there that are herbivores. Then you have carnivores. If you think about I always remember my Spanish carne.
That's right.
So the meat eaters. And those are like your lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And people
and some reptiles,
and then
and birds.
You've got omnivores, which eat both herbs and meat, or well, everything, just so to speak.
They eat everything.
And omnivore, herbivore, carnivore. Oh no, those are all the vores, aren't they? Yeah, those are all the vores.
Breatharian.
And then we have the breatharian. Yeah. And breatharians are the people that can just live off of air and maybe water. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them need water, some don't. We'll talk about that some more in a little bit. Got a few little bit of intriguing, trivial backstories on that. So, but circling back to what we were talking about, we'll get to that in a minute. An herbivore is basically a vegetarian or a vegan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They don't eat other. They don't eat other animals.
And there's different levels of vegetarian. Vegans are the ones that are like they're non-dairy, they're very at the extreme end of what we consider
animal
vegetarian.
Products. Right.
But vegetarians, they might have dairy products. They might have fish. Some are
pescatarian.
Yeah.
That's called a pescatarian. Think of the word Pisces, guys. The fish symbol.
My Spanish comes up again there too.
There you go. Pescator. Right.
Yeah.
So, they don't eat things like honey and eggs, and they don't use leather products.
Not
Uh,
honey. Why? Do they think the bees don't want us to take it?
that's right. No animal products. You're taking something that belongs to an animal.
But
Just
what
like
do the bees
that's
do
why.
with it?
Well, that's why no milk. If you're not going to take milk away from a cow, you're also not going to take honey away from a bee because
Well, and
that's
I
that's baby
understand.
food. It's food.
Yeah, but I can understand the cow thing. I understand the logic behind the cow thing because so many cows, once they have calved, then they just continue to be
Milk
forced
them.
into
Yeah.
production. Yeah. Okay. So I
Same
can
thing happens
understand.
to honeybees. Same thing happens to bees in production. They take away their honey, so the bees try to produce more, and they take away that honey, so the bees try to produce more.
But would the bees ever stop?
If they were feeding themselves and each other, the theory is that they would not work as hard.
Well,
You're
then you
still
couldn't be
taking
busy as the
away.
bee.
That's right. See, these discussions can go on forever about what is and what ain't.
I like busy bees.
Bees are awesome. I love it. There's a real cute meme. If we had thought of that, I would have found it. But it's a real cute meme that says, when I was young, I used to be, ooh, a bee, run away, run away. Now I'm like, oh, a bee, hey, you're beautiful. Are you comfortable? Do you want to sit over here? Do you want to borrow the car?
Yeah,
Can I get you something to
exactly.
drink? Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Would
Very
you like a
much so.
tea?
Well, and I like the chart of different kinds of bees. Like when they show hornets, they're the stingy bees, and the bumblebees are the koalas of the bee world.
They That's good. They're kind of like the sloth koalas. And then
Yeah.
they have see a wasp or one kind or another, and then hornets, they just call them assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're just because they're just mean all the time. They're very nervous animals. Yes, they are.
Uh-huh.
Now, tying into that, a lot of people don't know that chickens are actually omnivores and carnivorous.
They
So
eat bugs, right?
yeah, they eat bugs, they eat worms. They are also cannibals. They will eat other chickens.
Now
Chicken.
I saw one where it says if if dinosaurs created petroleum and plastic is made from petroleum, are plastic dinosaurs made from real dinosaurs?
Ooh, I kind of like that. I like that kind of deep thinking that leads you nowhere.
Yeah. Then you can
Because the
think of
nothing is actually the ultimate everything. But yeah,
let your kids play with dinosaurs, honey. Those are real.
that's actually, if that's made from petroleum, yep, yep, yep. If that's a petroleum polymer, yeah, you've got dinosaur in there. Absolutely. That's food for thought. But you know what? Dinosaurs are supposed to be the ancestors of birds, chickens. What pops in my head though is, have you ever noticed on some egg cartons in big letters it'll say vegetarian fed chickens? And they're trying to sell the fact that their birds are vegetarians, even though you're going to eat eggs. And the go look in the grocery store. It's actually very
Yeah.
common. It's very common. It
Well, you
says
remember
vegetarian fed, and they're not
at Purdue,
vegetarians.
they used to feed their marigolds to their chickens.
And you can, but you need to feed other stuff too, like bugs and worms and proteins. Yeah, because they're not vegetarians by nature. They're omnivores. They're not carnivores, they're omnivores. They eat everything.
Mm.
And eating marigolds is good for them, because eventually the humans that eat them and their products benefit from it as well as the chickens do. What it reduced something like less bird lice or something like that when they
Ah.
had marigolds. It was sort of like eating yerba mate. It's a body maintenance. They're drinking yerba mate. It's like body maintenance type stuff, or CBD, herbal
Oh,
stuff that supports you. Yeah,
CBD. Now that I get.
yeah. Marigolds is for chickens, sort of like CBD is for humans.
Okay.
All right. Now, keep in mind, what do you mean CBD is for humans? before they made marijuana and hemp products either obsolete or illegal. Hemp plants, marijuana-based plants, OCD, that's good, CBD plants grew wild all over the place. And then there were hemp farms as well. It was cultivated and it grew wild, which meant our animals, our food supply also ate those things. So you had cows and chickens and sheep and so on eating these CBD type plants. It got into their body, and then the humans drank that milk and ate that meat, and it got into their body, and it was a natural part of the nutrition system, which has been removed. And one of the biggest things that CBD supports is maintenance and immunity and inflammation control and all these things that now give you cancer. That the absence of them, you now get cancer and inflammation and immune system dysfunctions. Your skin is a part of your immune system, so now you got a lot of skin problems. And among humans, growth issues, hormone issues, all these things that were naturally regulated when those plants were naturally in our agricultural ecosystem. Yeah. So that's food for thought too about concerning eating.
I never thought about that stuff. I just remember farmers didn't want their cows getting in the green onions.
Yeah, because it makes their milk taste funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? If you can drink goat milk, you can drink cow onion milk, because goat milk, woo.
Yeah, no, I cannot.
Not a fan.
Although I do remember when my son was about 3 years old, I was making a cake and had some buttermilk sitting on the counter, and I poured it, and he was looking and studying, and I said, "Looks good, doesn't it?" And he's like, "Uh-huh." I said, "Do you want some?" He said, "Yeah." So I poured it in a glass. I said, "Here you go." And he took a big old chunk, and then he's like, just had a sick look, like you could just see him turning green, and just.
You just so wish you had a camera back in those days, right? Video of this. Wait, hon, let me get the video camera before you give it to him. Remember that? People got their cameras, their video cameras out right before they gave the baby a lemon for the first time.
Oh, yes.
You'd set the baby up in its high chair. All right, now, lemon in front of the baby. Watch the kid go into seizures for the acid.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm 54. To be 21 and torturing your infant again for kicks and funsies. Get even now, because their teenagehood's only about 10, 12 years away.
Yeah.
It's coming back around. Oh, but people, herbivores, are mostly vegetarians and vegans. They're both classified as an herbivore. And then you defined what's different between a vegetarian and a vegan. Or we discussed that. And vegetarians are looser. Some of them are pescatarian. We touched on that. Fish eaters. I have another friend who's a vegetarian that she says, I will not eat anything that has a face. A face. So she'll eat dairy and egg, but she won't eat anything that has a face. And I think her niece talked her into it in early adulthood and made that comment. She says, it's easier when you can't see their faces. It was like a 3-year-old. And she went, that ruined it for me. But out of the mouth of babes, absolute truth. And she has been a vegetarian for decades, but her husband is not. And they work, no, but they've been married for or they're probably pushing 20 years now, and they're very compatible. Yeah.
I laugh. I have a friend who is Black, and her husband is too, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor's white, and the doctor, luckily they've known him for years, because the doctor kind of smirked, and he said, "Yeah, you need to be more prejudiced in your eating." And the Black guy goes, "What?" And he goes, "You need to hate the white stuff."
was wondering if that's where you're going with the white
no rice,
bread.
no pasta, no bread.
Yeah, the white cheese, white milk.
So
Yeah,
he needs to go on the discriminatory diet.
the color diet. The color diet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fruits and vegetables, the more color you get, the wider variety you have, the better vitamins you get, is the rule of
But you
thumb
say
there.
that I remember my daughter. I took her to the pediatrician when she was, she's less than a year old, and
Mm.
I noticed the palms of her hands were kind of orangey, and he looked at him and he said, "Feeding her lots of sweet potatoes and carrots, are you?" And I was like, "Is
I've
that
heard
where
of
that's
that.
coming from?" Yeah.
Carotene. Yeah, the carotene will start building up in the skin.
And
Yeah,
I mean, I balanced it out. I mean, I would always give her, here's a green and a yellow, green and a, but she really did
prefer
like
those.
yeah. And it was like, oh my God. Yeah, we were turning her orange because of it. It was like a little carrot.
Mama's a little baby carrot.
Little bub carrot,
A
little
little
sweet
baby
tater.
carrot.
My little
Oh,
sweet tater.
there you go. A real live sweet tater. That is so funny. Oh my goodness, when your daughter sees this episode someday. We're talking about what a sweet tater you are.
And just put a little brown sugar on her and just eat her up.
Sprinkle a little off. There you go. Butter her bun. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so omnivore eats everything. All right, both vegetarian and plant, and they breathe. All right, and they breathe. Carnivore eats almost exclusively meat. Um, most people don't realize that cats are exclusive carnivores. They don't eat anything else except when they're sick, they will try to eat grass so that they can throw the roughage and they can throw up like hairballs. But on a natural, healthy diet, cats need to eat all meat or meat byproducts. So that's what you pay attention for in the cat food. Dogs are more omnivore, but they're still largely carnivore, but they're more omnivorous. Ooh, big word for the day.
Yeah.
Omnivorous. I'm very proud of being omnivorous myself. I asked Iris that. I said, Iris, have you ever done any other food life besides omnivore? And neither one of us have. I've been vegetarian for like a weekend. Like when I went on like some Sangha, or I went to some meditation group or I went to a women's sweat lodge or something, and they kept it all vegetarian just to make everybody happy. And I've done that, and that was cool. But they had things like butter and cheese.
Yeah, gotta keep me happy if you're gonna take away my meat,
Meat,
But
yeah,
and it's one of
doing
those
sour
things.
cream, butter and cheese, yeah.
Well, and even with my eating habits in general, as long as it's a food I like, I don't care what I eat. And if I had my own personal chef, I'd be
Mm,
fine.
mm-hmm.
It'd be like, okay, whatever, just fix me something and I'll get to it. But it's that having to plan, and I did it for so many years with family, the grocery lists and the planning for the week, and feeling like crap at the end of the day and still fixing a decent meal and things like that. But
That's hard.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then for one person, I just
don't got it in you.
I have no interest. No, make it quick, make it fast, make it easy to eat so I can do something else while I'm eating, because I don't like sitting and
That's
eating.
where those food service companies are coming in a lot, where they deliver or ingredients, and some of them
Yeah.
advertise all organic, and
But when they
you
say
buy
it
the
takes 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm not standing at my stove for 20 minutes. I'm
you gotta scroll through the 10 to 15 minute ones. The time is 5 minutes. The rest of
not.
it, it's cooking
If
without
it
you.
doesn't
Yeah,
go in the toaster or the microwave, or throw it in the oven for however long and then go back and get it later, I don't.
You like
Don't make me watch anything.
so you like slow cookers and crock pots and pressure cookers and
But then I hate cleaning them.
have you ever tried Instant Pot? As funny as that sounds, have you ever tried Instant Pot? That's a
Oh, sounds like
quite
Cheesy Pop.
delicious.
Do they make brownies?
Actually, it does. Both
Is
ways. So
that
no,
like the
Instant
thing that looks sort of like a crock
it,
pot, but
it does. Only much works much faster. I
yeah.
have one, and when I first got it for like 2 or 3 months, we ate nothing but pot roast this and pot roast that. But I found a bunch of other stuff to do with it. It's also a rice cooker. It makes bread, cooks all kinds of vegetables. It makes a wonderful chicken stew or chicken soup. On and on and on. But what it does is you got all the vitamin and thorough benefits of a pressure cooker, but instead of 8 to 12 hours, it does it in like 20 or 30 minutes. And you
Ah.
still have, and since it's a fast cook, you have even more vitamin retention. You're basically power steaming your food, is basically what you're doing.
Ah.
So Angela Kreitzer writes to us. What does it say, Iris?
I have mostly been omnivore, but have spent several years, two different times, vegetarian. First, not by choice. Smell of cooked meat made me gag. Second time was triggered by a cooking class in college when we went over the different cuts of meat chapter.
Yeah. Butchering, yeah. If once you learn the ins and outs of butchering, that's a fast track to vegetarian. Yeah.
I
I,
remember one time we were having my in laws. This was when I first got married. We were having our in laws visit us from out of town, and I was going to make fried chicken, and so I decided I got it. I got the chicken. It was partly cut up, not completely, and then I started trying to cut it, and I was like, ugh,
there's
you
a lot
know,
of popping and cracking going on. Yeah.
yeah. And so my when my mother in law got there, she ended up helping me cut it up, which I had to apologize for, and I cooked it now, but then I couldn't eat it. It's like if I'm
And
going to
it
eat it,
stayed
I
with
need
you.
it. Yeah, yeah. And chicken just looks too much like chicken. It might as well still have a face on it.
So you prefer your chicken deboned, I guess, so it's less shapely.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I've met a lot of people who are like that. They can only eat meat if the bone is not involved.
Yeah,
Beef,
and it's
beef
like,
or chicken. Yeah.
I don't.
I've,
It depends. I mean, I can do ribs sometimes, and I know that sounds terribly.
bourgeois.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. Are you chicken to eat it? Because if you can eat it, but
Chicken to
it's
eat a
just,
chicken.
yeah. I can't. I just can't. Oh,
Ask Theta. Ask for a download
yeah,
to
yeah.
make peace with it.
Um,
Whether or not you eat it after that is up to you, but to make peace with it so you don't have to struggle. If you're even struggling, I'm just assuming.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's something with it, and I remember when we were little at Easter. They used to give out those colored biddies. The little
Yeah, at the
teeny,
checkout. Yeah.
and and we got we would get one, my sister and I, and they'd be different colors or whatever. And mom said most kids overhandled theirs and they'd die. And that was fine. Well, ours grew. And so then, after the chickens grew to a certain point, they would send us across the street to spend the day with our grandparents while they made chicken dinner. And and mom said, Dad grew up in a coal mining town, had no knowledge of how to handle farm animals, much less how to kill a chicken. And so but
Oh,
he was gonna be the man,
here
Well,
comes the story. We got all right.
yeah.
I'm settling.
And so Dad, there was a stump in the backyard. So Dad takes the chicken and he gets it laid down, its head on the stump, and he takes the hatchet and he goes back and he goes to hit it, and the chicken pops up and he's like laying back down, and mom's like, "Oh my god," she's watching this, going, "I can't believe he's trying to get the chicken to lay still while he does a two-handed hatchet." So Dad finally gave up on that and picked up the chicken and was going to snap its neck. He swung it around over his head and put it down, and the chicken's going, dizzy.
He didn't snap it right.
He didn't snap it right. He just spun it and made the chicken. Mom said, "Oh, for God's sake!" She sat there and snatches the chicken
and popped its head off.
But they can handle it. I just, no, it has to be dead and cut and chopped and.
Well, we weren't raised that way. Your parents were raised or your mother was raised in a more agricultural community than suburban us. You know?
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean,
I didn't even I'd go fishing, but I didn't clean my own fish.
Yeah, the whole cycle of life and death.
I don't mind things being dead. I just don't want to.
It's kept away. You just don't want to watch it die.
But if it was a human being, I want to be there. That would be so cool. I love looking at people guts.
Oh, okay. So like anatomy type stuff.
Yeah. Find it fascinating.
Okay, so dapper dissection doesn't bother you?
No.
What about seeing people, not murder scenes, I'm talking about people peacefully in their bed, they're going. Have you ever seen anybody die?
I've seen dead people, but not. Yes, my mother, right before she died. Yeah. It was. Yeah. She kicked me out of the room. I mean, even though she was unconscious, she kicked me out of the room when she died.
Yeah, I remember that story. So you've seen that process.
Yeah, I mean, so that doesn't. And I've been to accident scenes and things when I worked with the newspaper, and there'd be somebody dead right there. Oh, cool. That didn't bother me.
That didn't faze you. See, now that's interesting. So Oh,
and I watched that guy die on death row too.
That's right, you did. So in your own mind, what's the difference between an animal's demise and a human's demise, energetically or philosophically, for you?
I get the cycle of life, and I get the, I really believe that, animals, when they come and they know they're going to be food, and there's a cycle there, and it's okay. But there's something about raw, dead meat. I don't know what it is. Okay, what's Angela saying?
What Angela said is hilarious. You got to pop it up. The second.
Okay, she said, "True, that's awesome too, and not. It depends. I'm not eating people.
Dead people. I'm not eating. I said, what's the difference between the demise of animals and humans? And she wrote, I'm not eating dead people. You know what, Angela?
Soylent Green.
That is a ton of clarity right there. That's absolutely true. Yeah, you're not eating the humans, so it's a different process.
Yeah. Soylent Green. Y'all know the movie? So the reference to Soylent Green.
Tell us for the people that don't.
It's a movie with Charlton Heston, and I can't remember the name of the movie. It might be Soylent Green. I don't know. But anyway, they're creating this food. The world is having agricultural issues, and they create this food, and everybody's eating. Oh, it's Soylent Green. It's going to save us. And he finds out it's people. They're
recycling cadavers.
Yeah, and it's like, don't eat it. Soylent Green is people.
That sounds like a Twilight Zone kind of plot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's the Twilight Zone where the aliens come and they give us this book or whatever, and they're trying to decipher it, and they finally find out, it's a cookbook. They don't want to have us for dinner. They want to have us for dinner.
For the dinner. For the main course. Absolutely. Yeah, more of that scare people with ETs crap. ETs are nicer than we are. We're the scary ones.
Yeah.
We're the violent ones. We're the scary ones. We're the ones they have to handle.
Somebody skewering an ET and putting them on a barbecue spit. I mean, I can see it happening.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Joe or somebody would do it. I caught me one. Hey, is running across the field. Daisy there, she's barking on his heels, and I caught him.
We treat him. Treat the son bitch, shot him down, and eat him. We're low on barbecue.
So I'm running around.
He was getting too close to my deer stand. We were low on venison. Had to make them all happy back in the swamp.
Oh God,
I'm sure
yeah.
somebody has either by accident or on purpose or both has eaten ETs by now, considering that they've been coming here for thousands of years. And that's a whole nother subject about what are ETs and visitations. So, and we'll probably get there. We'll probably talk about that subject sometime. So I'm going to switch gears though and talk
Yeah.
about our last category. I'm looking at the clock. We're at about 10:20. And the last category is called a breatharian or a breatharian, but it's all about breathing. Iris, what have you heard about breathing for a diet?
Just that. Excuse me. I think we've all probably heard the stories of the monks or whatever that go on extensive fasts and things like that, and barely eat anything or what, and they get to a point where they don't they they somehow adjust their vibration so that they no longer need dietary intake other than the molecules from breathing. And
That's right.
that's about the most that I know of it. I mean,
That's pretty close. I mean, that's pretty much right on the money of what I've understood. Um, Usually breatharian is or people that breathe for sustenance is a choice. It's a voluntary choice. It's almost always, not necessarily, but it's almost always like you said, associated to a spiritual life. Somebody who is very masterful of the movement of chi through themselves and through their environment. So much so that to survive, all they have to do is breathe. And you made a good point. Some of them still seek water as well as air. Some of them don't. They don't even need water. They pull all the molecular needs, all the chemical needs, all the chi needs in through their body and through their skin, through their eyes, through everywhere. They just absorb it, mostly because they have an awareness level that they already are one with everything. So the absorption process is really a process of just being and acknowledging it and asking for a little more here and there when you feel, somewhat depleted as a breatharian. There are records of monks, both men and women, going without food this way for months and even years. And there's documented cases of one lady, I can't remember her name, she's an Indian guru, East Indian guru, that the researchers had somebody stay with her 24/7, all day, all night. And nobody saw her eat or drink anything for 6 months. Somebody went to the bathroom with her everywhere. She volunteered for it so that they could see that there was absolutely no consumption for 6 months. And that's because the experiment ended. She went on. And basically, what these people are doing is pulling in chi, either through their breathing or through their existence, through their skin, through their meditations, through their chakras, all kinds of ways. You have a chakra opening here, and you have two of them down there. One of them you're sitting on, not where you think. One of them you're sitting on, the other one is the bottom of your feet. There's just one for that one. Anatomically, yes, there's more holes than that. But for chakras, there's one. So, generally speaking. So, breatharians live mostly by breathing. I read a really cool documentary. Somebody channeled being in the time of Christ, Jesus Christ. And when he was traveling with his disciples, plus their wives, plus their servants, plus their children, plus their grandchildren, plus their brothers and sisters and wives and their children and grandchildren and so on. So in other words, when Jesus moved around, it wasn't just him and 13 people, the disciples and Magdalene. It was him and hundreds of people because of all their family and friends that came with them. So giant caravan. So this person channeled being in the room with Jesus while they were eating one night. And he was close enough to Jesus. I mean, Jesus liked to hang out like one of the guys. He didn't try to be lord of the manor, head of the table kind of thing. He liked to sit down and hang out with everybody else and do what they were doing. And this person noticed that Jesus wasn't really eating like everybody else was. He was sitting with them. He was sitting with the menfolk. He had his plate. He had his wooden implement, and somebody put food on his plate. And the person that was channeling it was sitting across from him. And he noticed that Jesus was just pushing his food around on the plate. He wasn't picking it up. He was scraping it over to one side and pushing it back to the other side and digging out little fake bite marks out of how to make a pool out of it. And once in a while, he would pick up a fork and whatever and put it in his mouth, but there was no food on it. But he would imitate the gesture, and he would be listening and talking to other people and encourage them to talk. So there wasn't a lot of focus on what he was doing, but he was not eating. And when everybody else was finished eating, and they would sit back and and compliment the chef and have a drink or whatever, he would do the same thing. He would imitate them and act like he had been eating the whole time. And eventually this person that was channeling would ask Jesus, I noticed you haven't touched your food. You still have the same amount of food. It's just now all pushed to the edge of your plate. What's up? He said, I don't need to eat. He said, I really, really enjoy the smell and the sight. And I wish you could see the energy that's coming off of the food, because the men and women that cooked it for us are loving, and they love us, and they're trying to nourish us and make us happy. And that's coming off of the food. He said, I am consuming that on a way that you're not familiar with yet. But he said, I don't need to actually eat and swallow. It's just, I don't need to. He said, the other part of why I'm here is, he said, I so love the camaraderie around the table, because people are so happy and they're such an hyper focused in their bliss, and they're forgetting everything else that's on their mind at the moment. And they're talking and they're connecting and they're laughing and they're sharing and they're appreciating their wives cooking, and they're appreciating their children playing, and they're appreciating their brother saying something funny as hell. I don't know if he used that word, but funny as hell right beside him, and telling jokes and stories. And he loved that. And to him, that was his nourishment, was all the loving energy and high vibes that were being sent out. So that, by description, implies that Jesus practiced what we would call breatharian too. However, here's my spin on it. How do you know he was breathing? We don't know he was breathing. He can imitate breathing if he wants to. He may not even have been breathing. But yeah, energetic people can do that. They can imitate anything they want and be perfectly healthy and happy at it. But aside from that weird observation on my part, essentially people like Jesus Christ tend to be breatharian. They don't need to eat. When they do, it's for pleasure or sometimes for anxiety, because food has a soothing effect on us. Eating, comfort foods, soul foods, we have words for that. What is your favorite comfort food, Iris? I have several. I'm going to make you try to pick one. Lately, what is your favorite comfort food?
I like ice cream.
Oh, that's a good choice. What type? What flavor?
Uh,
Lately.
well, I love like the Reese's peanut butter and chocolate ice
Oh,
cream or Moose
yeah.
Tracks, those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
And in the summertime, I love chocolate chip mint.
Oh, that would be refreshing. We're on a real similar page. My favorite comfort food is just chocolate caramel sea salt candy.
Oh,
Candy, chocolate and caramel with sea salt on it. Ghirardelli does an awesome version. There's some organic versions coming out of Whole Foods. I like sampling different labels to see who can make me happier, happier, happier. But my other comfort food, which is really just my favorite food, is rice.
oh,
I love rice. It's my favorite food of all. It goes with everything. You can dump anything in it and it'll taste good with it. But I love rice. My favorite protein, crab legs.
hmm.
Although eating crab legs grosses out some people because it's so noisy and
Ah,
messy. It is noisy and messy. Don't care. The crab does not feel what we're doing. Besides that, like you, bless your food, thank it, send it to the light, thank everyone that processed it. But yeah, chocolate,
my
chocolate.
parents, when I was about 8 years old, bought a couple of lobsters. They wanted to make
Neat.
lobster at home, and it was like it was something. Oh well, let me try this family, And they put I came in and I saw the lobsters in the sink. Now, keep in mind too, my dad had fish tanks, lots of fish tanks, and I would help take care of the fish and that sort of thing. There's these lobsters in the sink, Well, why do they have the little plugs on their claws so they couldn't, that's so it doesn't snap at you. So, oh, okay. And I'm there kind of looking at them and kind of, oh, hey, well, your name's George and your name's
Oh,
Fred.
uh-oh. Uh-oh.
And by that time, the water's boiling on the stove. Iris, that's our dinner. But I just named them.
We just made friends.
There they
Whoops.
go. And they're turning red. I mean, I
I
can
was going to
practically
say,
hear them, in my head. I'm like, and I'm like, I knew, but it was like, eh. So then, when it's time to
that's
go
your
to the
brain
table and
protect.
eat, it was
Yeah,
like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
your brain was not ready to make that jump at that point. Mm-mm.
No.
Processing food is not, processing meat is tough, seafood or otherwise.
Of course, my son now I really screwed him up because I would I would joke with him about so much stuff. I love
Yeah.
just playing with their
Hey,
brains.
laughing will
And,
save you. Yeah.
yeah, and and so one day he was saying, well, I know that ham. He said, where does ham come from? And I said, well, that comes from pigs, and bacon, same thing. What about hamburger? I said, it comes from cows. You're kidding me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Beef comes from cows. Yeah, I know that. But hamburger comes from pigs because ham comes from pigs.
Oh, the
And I was like, I'm
linguistic part
not
of it.
kidding you. I'm not kidding. I promise you.
Go look up your Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Angela made a really good comment at the bottom. Her last comment says, "So, what do you think about the UK adding crabs, etc., to the sentient category so they can't be boiled alive?" That, no pun intended, is food for thought.
Well, we had I do the 48-hour film project. And in a film, somebody boiled like lobster or crab or something on
Okay,
screen, and it really disturbed some people. And
sure.
and so we had to be sure that no animals were. We had to make it a rule in internationally, no animals can be harmed during the making of a
Film.
48.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would
don't.
that would make sense because that would be a shocker, especially if somebody's vegetarian, vegan.
Yeah.
You're going to lose audience doing that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, Angela, to answer your question, honestly, I think all. animals are sentient, not not just horses, cows, and pigs and fish. I think they all are. Um, it's a and what I understand from intuitively going out there and asking, and I've asked my pork chop, my fish stick, my hot dog or whatever, my hamburger, and I've asked them, guys, do you know what's going on? Are you okay with this? And they've showed me Akashic records from way back that these animals are aware. And of course, it's not perfect. Not every single animal is aware, but almost all of them are aware that when a human comes at you, the human's probably going to try to eat you, which is why they run. But they understand the whole life and death, and even the herbivores do. The whole life and death, and you eat me, I eat you, I exist on energetically through you as a part of your body, and so on. And someday when you die, plants and animals will come and live off of the remains of my body, and they understand that on an intrinsic level that humans are not taught in modern times, which is going to change. But right now they're not. So I don't think it's a good idea to torture animals to kill them. Yes, I do have a problem with boiling crabs and lobsters while they're still alive. I do have a problem with that. That does bother me.
Oh, have y'all? Well, there was two questions. The well, crap. I had two different questions, and they just clashed and went. Um.
I was
Oh
talking about
well,
animals are
never
sentient.
mind.
I was talking about animals.
Yeah,
Animals are sentient. They know what's going on.
but yeah, and there was. I'm not. I'm
They
not going to
their
strain my brain on that
energy.
one.
That's all right. It might come back around later. Their
Yeah,
energy lives on through us
yeah. Have y'all
through that.
seen the movie Sausage Party?
I've seen the ads for it, and I assumed it was a reference to an all guy party, but I guess it's something else.
No, no. It's like food and food products are alive. And so, like, there's this hysterical scene where the woman goes to the grocery store and they're so excited. Everything, that she picks up. Oh, I'm going. Goodbye. Goodbye. It's my turn to go. Like Beyond the Sun or something. And it's like there's this huge sunshine, and they're in the grocery store, and there's this huge
Yeah.
sunshine on the door or whatever. And they're at the house and they're like, look where we are, package of hot dogs, package of buns, they're talking to each other, and she's got potatoes and carrots and things like that. And it's like she throws the carrots on the counter, and they're rolling around going, oh, I'm free. Look at this. I'm free. And she pops one fall, gets ready to fall off the counter, and she grabs it. And oh, she saved him. She saved him. And pops it in her mouth, and they're, oh!
So they didn't know that part was coming.
That part was coming. And then she picks up a potato. Wait a minute. Where am I going? Where am I going? And she starts peeling it. Oh, she's peeling my skin.
So Sausage Party is basically a dig at vegetarians and vegans, isn't it?
Not just vegetarians, but I mean, it's all
Everybody.
and actually, and I need to go back and watch it again with a higher understanding,
Yeah.
because it's hysterical. There is a plot, and it's like, well, where do they go, and what? It really gets spiritual in some levels. Like,
What an interesting title for such a profound plot.
yeah, but it's hysterical because it's Seth Rogen, and he's absolutely
Oh,
obscene at times.
oh, yeah, he is, but
And
he's profound. Yeah.
yeah, and so there's all kinds of stuff going on, but so you've got you've got the hot dogs and and they're the hot dogs and the buns get together, and it's
They make it sexual. You're right,
yeah.
right. I figured, yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff going on, but
Innuendos, yeah.
yeah, and different ones, they're making friends on the countertops, and then they want to, hope. hope she takes me. Don't go, don't go. But then where do they go? And then the rumor comes back that we get eaten when we get out of here. It's like, oh no, we don't. They don't do that to
It's a reveal.
Yeah,
It's a
very
reveal.
much.
It's a reveal about what happens matrix wise. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Well, thank you, because now I'm going to watch that from a totally different perspective. Sausage
Yeah.
Party. I've seen it advertised, but I haven't put it up yet. The last thing I wanted to wrap up with, if you don't mind, was about sugar and the sugar monkey. I just wanted to make one comment that a lot of people don't realize right off the bat. We all know that sugar is very controversial and that it does have a few benefits, but it has a ton more not benefits to it. Like Iris said, change the vibration, move it up. But humans are very, very addicted to sugar. They have been for centuries and centuries. What people mostly don't realize is, or they forget, that alcohol is liquid sugar. So if you want to talk about legalized addictions, yeah, nicotine, yeah, alcohol, people leave off sugar, which is what alcohol is. So go back. What else is that product? And that's also an addiction. So it's just one of those, make a connection. Yeah.
And this might be another topic in the future, but also somebody pointed out to me, there are entities associated with alcohol and drugs. And that's why, that's why they call them spirits.
Yes.
It's because they have an energy with them.
Yes.
And that drugs, have you ever noticed like how all heroin addicts look alike? They all look like skeletal, and
because the same feature degradation. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the spirit that's associated with them. That is the energy.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like. And the same with people who are meth or
cocaine.
Crackheads or cocaine. They all have different looks, but you can recognize which ones they are right away. And it's because that's what the entity looks like that's attached to those drugs.
Fascinating. I knew that there was spiritual energies attached to each type of crazy addiction, but the visual, thank you. I'm a photographer. I love that.
Yeah.
And sometimes David's like, man, what the hell was that guy's problem? There, it's some guest is doing something weird or says something really weird. And I'm like, dude, he was coked up. He was totally coked up or totally drunk or whatever. And you start seeing it. Yeah, because there's a look.
Yeah.
To what kind of, or a meth addict, you can, which I haven't seen that at a wedding, but but you can see it. But in day-to-day life on this, in the city, you can see it. So Angela made one more comment, not related to food, but to Seth Rogen as a profound and super funny show reveal. I've heard that Future Man. I've heard Future Man is also a huge, huge reveal. Interesting. It makes sense.
I haven't heard of that.
Future Man. Yeah, Future Man is supposed to be extremely well done. Rogan is big on blowing the whistle. He's a big. He's like Mel Gibson, kinda. He's getting brave. And what was the comedian that blasted everybody at the awards?
Oh, Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais. Yeah, he's along those lines. He's getting more and more fearless with calling it out.
Yeah.
The horror show that is Hollywood behind the scenes. But we'll just let that reveal itself over time too.
And for another time, maybe,
Yeah. So we've got topics for another day. Guys, come back next week.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay. It was good seeing everybody, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Angela, for coming to play. And we hope to see you next week, Sugar. Namaste, everyone. Namaste, Iris.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining The Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod of Incomptech.com, licensed under Creative Commons. Visit our Facebook page for broadcast details, www.facebook.com/eyesofIndigo. Show is copyrighted 2021 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears, all rights reserved.